two IELTS teachers, part one of the IELTS test, and lots of collocations and idioms that can help you get a 7 in the IELTS test. Hi, I'm Damien, the sledgehammer that smashes down English language barriers. And today I have a special guest called Amy Coots. Combined, we have nearly 40 years of IELTS teaching English experience, and we're here to help you get better in English. This series follows a simple format. We take a topic from part one of the IELTS test, then me and Amy tell you how we would respond to that prompt. And then during the course of the conversation, we highlight important idioms and collocations that can help you get a 7 in IELTS. Okay, let's get started. All right, so just before we start, can you just confirm for me that, yes, you have been or you are an IELTS teacher, because the whole concept hinges or sits upon that fact, because the episode is called Two IELTS Teachers Talking About Stuff.
Yes, Damien, I can confirm that for a great number of years, I have taught a great number of students in Australia and in the UK IELTS classes.
Okay, that's good. And as you know, myself, I've taught for many a year, and also for a short period of time. Well, not a short period of time. Over 5 years, I was an IELTS examiner, but that's supposed to be a secret. It's like, you're not supposed to reveal that.
Oh, that's all right. I won't let anyone know.
No, so hopefully no one's watching.
Safe with me.
So let's get into the topic. So I've already introduced the whole idea to the students. So we'll move on to our first question, which is, what do you enjoy doing in your free time, Amy?
There are many things that I enjoy doing in my free time. One of those things is listening to audiobooks, and I especially like listening to audiobooks when I'm outside. So when I'm walking around my neighborhood, when I'm sitting in the park, I find it really relaxing to do that. And I guess that was my second thing that I enjoy doing, is being outside. So I enjoy walking, I like jogging, sitting in the park. And I guess another thing I really enjoy doing, although I haven't done it much lately, is I enjoy playing the sport of squash. And squash is amazing because it's an indoor sport and you can play it all seasons of the year. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's hot, you can play it anytime.
All right. I'll then share some of my
Yes. What do you enjoy doing in your free time, Damien?
Yes. Well, thank you for asking. For me, I think it's three main things that I enjoy to do in my free time. But it has actually transitioned or changed, I suppose, over your life. You're always shifting onto new hobbies or interests. But sort of at the moment, I suppose my main one is the editing, which is sort of connected to this thing. I sort of become interested in editing and how to get better at editing and how, to cut everything together and add in special effects. And my other two would be like watching football. I still like to do that. I'm not sure why, but yes, I watch football still. And rock climbing, particularly indoor rock climbing, would be my third favorite activity, which I don't have too much of an opportunity to do nowadays. So that goes into our next question. How much time do you have each week for doing those activities of walking, audiobooks, and what was the third one? Squash.
Playing squash. Unfortunately, I haven't done much of the squash of late, but I'm hoping that will change in the not too distant future. As for the other two, I would say that I probably spend, about a minimum of 5 hours on both of those things. Sometimes those things can be combined together. Sometimes I do them separately. So I'll go out for my walk and then I might listen to my book later. So anywhere between about 5 to 8 hours, I would say, a week.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good because they're very easy to do. It's very easy to find a small amount of time each day to do both of those things. Yeah.
All right.
What about you? How much time do you have each week for doing your activities?
For the activities, I don't really have much time for climbing at the moment because it's difficult to do because I have to go to Bangkok if I want to climb, and then due to the current new normal of COVID-19, I haven't had much chance to do that. I would like to do it more. In the past, I used to probably do like twice a week, which would be like probably 3 hours. And then for football, I probably spend too much time. I have a strange addiction. It's my last addiction that I haven't killed yet, or purged, I suppose. I like to watch everything about the Brisbane Lions, and I spend a lot of time on that. But I am starting to block myself with like internet blockers and things like that because I think it's too much. I don't need to know the players' favourite songs and stuff like that. So I think that's gone too far. I probably spend like a few hours on that, 3 to 4 maybe, including the game. And then the last one, editing, is something I do spend a lot of time on, but I'm getting faster at it. So, but it's something I like doing, so I quite like playing around with it. So for editing, might be 5 hours a week, 5 to 10, depending on what I'm doing. Who knows? But yeah, that's the time frame. And then with those activities, why do you think you started to do those activities? Or why do you like doing those activities, sorry?
This is very interesting because it's kind of, they have the opposite effect in a way. Well, no, actually not exactly. I guess I would say in both cases, they are very relaxing. But what's interesting about the squash was that I can actually get quite aggressive on the court. So I think when I say it's relaxing, I can like get a lot of aggression and anger out in the court, and then I feel better afterwards. I originally started playing tennis, and then because I was living in the UK, as we know about England, it can be temperamental with the weather, and it can get rainy, unpredictable, and I knew the winter time was coming because I started the tennis in the summer. And I knew winter was coming, and I sort of thought, I'm not going to get out down to the court on a cold, rainy day. So I had a friend who suggested that if I like racket sports, giving squash a try. And my dad used to play, I remember as a kid. And so I gave it a try. And then, like your football addiction, I became like quite obsessed with getting to the court. And I absolutely loved it. And I think I unleashed my female John McEnroe of the squash court equivalent, I would say. A lot of yelling at the wall, a lot of aggressive hitting, but I absolutely love it. And I used to spend a lot of time laughing with my friends that I used to play with. On the opposite of that, the audiobooks make me feel very relaxed. Sitting in the park makes me feel very relaxed as well. And I love being out in nature as much as possible because my work requires me to be indoors on a computer for a long time. And so I need the balance of getting outside, getting that fresh air and sunshine and the green grass and trees around me. So,
sounds nice.
All that. Lovely. And why do you like doing your activities?
Well, for me, with rock climbing, I don't really like going to the gym because I found that boring, like just pushing weights up and down. And lots of bigger guys than me, like flexing in the mirrors. So I felt like I was going to get a sandcastle kicked in my face. But I much prefer rock climbing because it was more suited, I think, to my body shape. But also, it's not just a mindless activity because you have to strategically think where to place that foot, where to, put your hand. It's sort of like weightlifting for chess players, maybe. You got to think through all your moves to get up to the top, and you can have good rock climbers from all different shapes and sizes, whether you're like tall or small or skinny or big. It's not like the sort of weightlifting culture type thing, which I didn't like. So that's the main reason I like rock climbing. For football, I think it's just like a mindless thing, and like maybe I like to keep my anger in, so I'm able to let all my aggression out, screaming at players, which I particularly used to like doing at the game. But when now I'm a bit older now, I seem to have calmed down, so maybe I have better outlets for anger, and I don't let the roller coaster of emotions during a match affect me as much. I can just let it go at the end. And for the last one, what was my other? Oh, editing. What do I like about editing? I don't know, maybe it's just sort of like you're God, you can control everything. You know, you have the power to make someone look bad or good in editing. I think maybe that's it. And what about with some of your activities? When maybe, how did you start doing one of those activities at first?
Yeah, as I said before, the squash was a hobby I took up about 2 years ago. As I said, I was living in the UK. I wanted to learn to play tennis. And then I started learning that, really liked it. But as I said, because the weather is very unpredictable and I knew I wouldn't be consistent with going to tennis, a friend suggested going indoors and continuing playing indoors. So that's how that got started there. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? How did you start doing editing?
Editing. When was the first time? I think it was more when I moved here, actually. When I moved to Thailand, I decided, after I did like that action research project, you know, with, what was it? VoiceThread, yeah? Like the video program, and getting recordings of students' voices and giving feedback. When I moved here, I wanted to then continue like looking at technology and how it can help students improve their English. So I started basically with the iPad and just editing with the one that comes with the iPad or Apple, I don't know what it's called. They're basic editing programs.
iMovie.
I started, iMovie. So I started with iMovie and just playing around with that. And then after a while, I wanted to take it a bit more seriously. So I dipped my toe into Adobe Premiere Pro and felt quite depressed when I tried to learn that program because it's extremely complex. So the first few times I was doing it, I was thinking, I don't think I can use this. But that's the same with learning anything, like learning a language or learning. The first experiences are often very challenging and you want to give up, but if you can, break through that. And now I think I'm feeling quite accomplished with Premiere Pro, and I've been able to learn like a new skill, and work efficiently on it. So I'm not depressed about it anymore. I'm happy.
Good.
And with looking in, if you had a chance to do or start any other hobby or sport, what would you like to try?
I've always kind of done this by myself, not really properly taught, but I really enjoy singing, and I admire people who are really good at singing, and so I think I would like to do actual...
TikTok.
Well, no, I don't have TikTok's my thing.
Oh, okay.
But
sorry, keep going.
I think that if I could do singing lessons and actually learn the capabilities of my own voice, because there are songs that I really like that I think I could sing well, and I practice them by myself, but I would like to actually have someone coach me a little bit and improve my ability and know like what's my range and what would suit me in terms of songs, because I really enjoy it. It feels good to do, even though I don't think I'm that great at it right now. That would probably be the next hobby. And I could combine it. Yeah, I could combine it with my drama and acting stuff. If I had that skill of being able to sing, it could open more opportunities. But it's really just to be able to go somewhere publicly with friends and be able to sing and hold a tune and perhaps have, a sense of superiority on the karaoke floor. Yes.
You've already done that though. I remember in the Xbox singing game. You used to sing quite loudly and put it out there, so that was.
But is loudly good though? Does loud equal good, or just making noise and noise pollution? I guess that's the question.
Get those lessons. And
oh, actually, well, if we're talking about using the Xbox, like drumming, I always thought it'd be cool to be a drummer. Oh, yeah, I would be a drummer, but my mother wouldn't let us learn when we were kids. It's too noisy. So.
Oh well.
Is there some other hobby or sport that you would like to try?
This is sort of like a hobby I have already tried, but I only tried it briefly and then gave up. So I'd like to return. If you call it a hobby, I suppose it's a hobby. It's like stand-up comedy. I always would like to return that because I had one performance under the pseudonym of Chimpanovo, which was a disaster.
Remember that.
A sea of silence. But there's some sort of itch. I still feel like I could do it better. And the more, now that I've gotten older, I see like, I've read certain stuff about stand-up comedy and people say, you know, what you need to do is like book, you know, like a full 3 months, because the first show you're going to be terrible. The first, you know, month or 3 months you'll be terrible. And in that time you might find one good joke. And then the next 3 months you find another good joke. And that's how you, you know, slowly build your setup. You just have to be thick-skinned and go through that learning process. As I said, and I talked about before, like with learning, as with languages, it's sort of, going through that process of failure and repeat, and failure, repeat. That repeat cycle just keeps on going until you make it. Yeah?
Yeah.
And our last question for today. So this is looking more philosophically. How has the way people spend their time changed over the years? Say, compared to your parents' generation or further back? Where do you want to start?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's a hard question. Well, I guess if I'm looking to compare parents' generation with current generation, I guess being the same age now that my parents were, I guess when I was a kid, I feel like because people are the shape of how we live has changed quite a bit. Like people were getting married younger, having kids younger, and so that became more of their focus, at least definitely in my parents' case. They had hobbies, of course, but a lot of those hobbies sort of disappeared because they were so focused on family life. But I think with a lot more, or adults such as myself who currently don't have those things, I think we have more time to prioritize activities a lot more. I think people are socializing. Well, I guess one big thing I would notice is we've got this online component that didn't exist before. So I feel like there's a lot more doing activities online, a lot more with people. Certainly in this current climate with the pandemic, you're seeing things like you can do a yoga class from the comfort of your own bedroom if you want, with people virtually. You can watch plays online. So I guess that's one shift with the technology that people are doing probably more at home now. I don't know if I'm answering this particularly well. I think it's a really hard one, but I feel as though, because of the delay of marriage and kids, people are engaging in their hobbies a lot more than they used to. And I think the other thing, as I said before, would be technology is possibly even pushing people to be doing more at home online than actually physically going out to things like they used to. I guess that's what I would notice the most. What about you?
I definitely agree with a lot of that. I mean, just depending how far you go back, like 100 years ago, people spent their time maybe more with work and things like that. And if you want to look at like gender divide, like female versus male, maybe females were more based at home and had less opportunity, to go into the workforce or do everything that, men could do at that time. So, and that probably restricted their leisure activities as well. Well, nowadays, in a lot of countries, it's more equal and there's less restrictions or a lot less restrictions based on gender for your leisure time, if any, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know. And what you talked about, with technology for sure, that in my parents' generation, even in my own generation, has shifted. Like all the interconnected activities you can do online, or find your little niche group, and connect up with that hobby. It can be any weird hobby like bug wars. There'll be a group of people who like to watch bugs fight each other. And you can find that group now, when in the past you might have felt isolated and had to create that community by yourself of one. So that sort of stuff. I think that's about it. So thank you for giving your IELTS teacher ideas today. And I look forward to speaking to you again in the future.
Thanks for having me, Damien. It's been great.
Yeah, no worries. Adios.
Bye.
I hope you learned a lot today, and remember to go visit englishriot to download a document which contains all the useful expressions and idioms we used in the conversation today. Also, if you're interested in a full vocabulary recording system, then check out my book, English Words Unmasked, which is for a very reasonable price of only $5. Finally, do all that other stuff I ask you to do, like, share, subscribe, or don't do that. And remember, keep smashing language barriers. And I'll see you next time.